Hey guys, how are you? It is Allison from Allison Answers and Logger Counseling Services. We are talking about our very last week of month 4. We're talking about time. And I promised you that I would connect together codependency and time, and I am going to do that. Even though I did do that last week, I want to do a more thorough job of that. Time, just like most things in our life, are not disconnected from relationships. So the relationships that we are in, the relationships that we love being in, that we struggle in, that we don't struggle in, all impact our time. Mothers are highly impacted by time and their relationship with their children. Spouses are impacted in terms of their relationship and the way that they manage their time. Friendships, time is a very big part of that. Making plans with other people. So there are some pretty big qualities or disordered thinking that people have when they're in codependent relationships. Or you don't even have to necessarily be in specifically codependent relationships. You have to be, in order to be codependent, it's almost just feeling codependent. It doesn't have to be anybody else's fault. It could just be, some of the things that you will see with codependency, and that is our whole topic for the next month. So we're going to exhaustively go through codependency, but some of the things that stand out to me for codependency for time this week is hypervigilance. When you walk in a room, somebody who's hypervigilant, they're more concerned about what other people think, feel, how they're being perceived than how they think, feel, or how they're perceiving. So people who are codependent abandon themselves to please other people. They also have like a kind of steady state of anxiety with regard to others. And maybe they don't feel that with specific people that they're at ease with, but in general, they're not at ease with themselves. So it doesn't really matter. If you're not at ease with yourself, it's not going to be easy to be at ease with other people. So being at ease with yourself would mean that you're managing your time, that you're brain dumping like we talked about, right? And then you're planning your day in the way that you feel is best in order to reach and advance your goals and also maintain your life. So I'm kind of going over what we've done. You're living in the now, right? You're managing the way that you perceive time. You're looking at it more from an abundant perspective as compared to a lack perspective. You're not frightened of time. You're not stressing about time. You're not attaching time to only tasks. You're also allowing yourself to experience joy and to plan for joy, right? So now when you're doing all of the things and you're not procrastinating, because procrastinating is avoidance, and it's related to not allowing yourself to face life, to do the thing, really know the thing that you really want to do, or do the thing that you don't want to do as an act of choice and as a way of blessing yourself. Because when you take the drainer off, the energy drainer off of your plate, there's a relief, and it releases feelings of happiness and confidence and joy. And these are the things that need to happen. This is also the concept we're going to talk about now is that how much of your time is being impacted by other human beings or your perspective of that. We did talk about that last week, but I want you to really dive in now. I want you to look at all throughout your day. I want you to notice when you're brain dumping, when things are stressing you, do they have to do with obligations? And I want you to really consider, we talked about obligations, but I want you to consider what you feel obligated to. And that obligation that you feel so committed to, is that obligation something that you value? And will that take you where you believe you're meant to go? And that's a very important thing to consider and just process and understand. I'm going to ask you to go deep, because this is kind of like going to be a segue into our next month's topic, which is codependency, which is key for every woman. This is the month that's going to be powerful. So I just want you to guys to be kind of tumbling into codependency, okay? So the concepts are, being able to say no. Think about for you, think about time, think about, when we're in, when I'm in my office and somebody knocks on the door, or let's say I'm walking through my building, if someone says, hey, do you have a minute? I'm probably going to say no. Now, if I have a minute, then I'll say yes. But if I'm walking from point A to point B because I'm purposeful, I'm going somewhere to do something, every interruption makes us reorient every time we have to get back to what we're doing. So we orient away from it in our brain and then we reorient back. And it's a big time waster. So that's why we were talking about, hey, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to start it. I'm going to keep doing it until it's finished. Then once it's finished, there's a sense of depth. We discussed this last week too, but I really want you to really hone in on this concept. That's why I'm repeating it. I'm repeating a lot of what we talked about over the month because I want you to really utilize these strengths. I want you to be in the now. I want you to be in abundance. I want you to schedule joy. I want you to release yourself from energy drainers. I want you to release yourself from other people. So these are concepts. Listen to those things I'm telling you. Be in the now. Dump your brain. Plan your day. Alleviate yourself from energy drainers. Evaluate your obligations. Consider your fear when it comes to others. What are you really, really afraid of? And typically people who are in a codependent state or they're in this kind of place where they want to please others. So they will end up feeling resentment because they're more interested in pleasing someone else and have somebody else like them than they are in pleasing themselves. They'd rather be angry than let somebody be angry at them. So you'll find women very often are very angry and they're resentful and they're in like this state of martyrdom. So they're taking their time, their valued piece of, I don't know, space, real estate, which is time, and they're giving it away when they don't want to. They're doing things they don't want to do in order to be liked. So I want you to hone in on that one concept. This is what you're doing this week. We're going to reevaluate all the things we're talking about, and I want you to continue to do them. Okay, you understand? You're not going to multitask. You're going to be in the now. You're going to brain dump, plan your day before you start your day. You're going to live in the now. You're going to see abundance. You're going to you're going to start tasks, finish them. You're going to advance towards your goals while still maintaining some things. But this week, what you're going to do while you're doing that, which is really not a lot, it feels like a lot because you have to get used to just being that way. It's a mindset. It's just a way of being, and you have to develop the habits of it. So now the next thing is to be very awake and aware in the now. That's the important thing. Know what you're doing with yourself and the time that you're spending in this now. Am I doing something that's pulling against who I am? And women are doing that every day. Now, when you have young children, that's just fact. We need to do things that we maybe don't want to do. So I do suggest to moms with young children, or even any age child, it depends on the age, but to be able, you have to surrender to motherhood as well. So if you are experiencing time with young kids and you're experiencing it as something, time is being taken from you. I hear that a lot from moms. I can never just do what I want, and blah, blah. There's going to be a period of time in your life where you're going to have to make a decision as a grown person that I am deciding to give this time to this period of time for this young person because I have taken on this role that I value. So it's a different perspective on the time. So, the way we feel about things has to do with the meaning we attach to the thing. So the meaning that we attach to the time spent. So if I'm going to do something in a state of obligation, and then afterwards I'm like, wow, I really didn't want to do that thing. And then the feeling rises like, oh, resenting it, What you want to do is you want to say, hey, wait a minute. I have to reevaluate the meaning I'm attaching to this moment, because basically if I gave time away that I didn't want to give, then, either you win or you learn. And what you can make a decision that if you do something in terms of time that you don't value or you feel like you want to do differently another day, just see it as a learning experience. And then that time spent has become a valuable resource to you. Remember, what we do with these pockets of time that we have that are now either can be a loss, it can be something that distresses us, it could be something that we resent, it could be something that we fear, or it could be something that, if any of those emotions come up, it can be a shift in our meaning, which then allows us to feel and experience freedom. Feel and experience a depth of character, feel and experience a different life than we've been living all along. Remember, our whole perspective here, our mission here is to change the way we think, change the way we live life, the way we experience, so we can move into our greatness, so we can be peaceful and calm. So I want you to really consider, you're going to start your day, okay? This is the plan. Brain dump it, right? Now, let me back up for a minute. I want to say something different. Okay. At the end of every day, I want you to, before you go to bed, this is what you're going to do. You're going to have an evening routine, and you're going to decide what that evening routine is. I'm going to suggest that you experience with emotion gratitude. You can be writing it down, but I want you to be feeling it. I want you to find things, even if it's one thing that you're emotionally impacted and grateful for. Okay? And I want you to look at your day and say, you know, what did I do well today? And what would I like to do differently tomorrow? Then I want you to plan in your mind, tomorrow is going to be an amazing day because I'm going to make it that way. I tell myself as I'm falling asleep that tomorrow is just going to be amazing. That, you know, even if you're up very late and you know you're just going to have a limited amount of sleep, I really want you to tell yourself, not, oh my God, I'm going to be so tired tomorrow, I don't know how I'm going to get through the day. I can guarantee you're going to wake up like shit. So basically what you want to do is you want to say, you know what, no matter what this day brings, no matter how much sleep I get or I don't get, I'm going to make sure I have a great day tomorrow because it's what I want to do. You see, we're shifting our attitudes. So now you prep your morning with your nighttime. Think about what you marinate in before you go to sleep. Nighttime is not for listing worries. You know, worrying is just praying to yourself, and it's completely counterproductive. So then that's what you're going to do. That's the first tool. The next thing, when you wake up, I want you to set your emotional intention. I want you to make a decision about what you're going to feel. You know, when I open my eyes, I say to myself, I get to choose how I feel today. And today I choose. Because when we wake up with feelings. Okay. Some days I wake up with really hard feelings. And I have to honor them and at the same time say, you know what? How much do these feelings create value for me throughout my day? Probably not. You know, you may have to move through some feelings, which is okay, but set an intention of joy and gratitude and appreciation and inspiration and advancing and loving life and seeing beauty. Because when you do that, you're setting your brain to go in that direction. Okay, so we're in charge. That's my point. Next thing, if you got worries or things on your mind, dump them out. Then you just plan your day. You can do it really quickly. Once you have a morning routine, also, I think it's a really good idea to know what your morning routine is. I know that my morning routine is, I basically know what I'm going to eat. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to let my dogs out and all those other things that I'm going to do. But I know I'm working out, right? I know I'm going to list my gratitude. I know I'm going to have goals because we need to know where we're going in order to get there. If we don't have an understanding of what we want and what we envision, we won't see it when it passes us by. You have to know what you want in order to get it. You have to see it. And you know what? If you have to shift it and change it tomorrow and every day it changes, it doesn't matter. Keep honing in and clarifying your vision for who you want to be, how you want to be, how you want to live. We are so bombarded by images and belief systems and the culture we're in that we forget what our original destiny is. you know? So you want to find that, and you're not going to find it in the second, and we don't beat ourselves up. We just love the process. Find things that you enjoy, and you're going to find yourself, okay? Create joy. Okay, so that's, I'm getting off a little bit. So basically, now you know what your morning routine is. Now you just plan that day out. Take that calendar. I have a 15-minute calendar every single day. I know exactly what I'm doing. I got it listed. I got my month. I don't start my month until I finish it. Know what you're doing this month. You know, every Sunday I look at my whole month. I look at my whole week. I know what my week is going to be. You guys, I'm telling you, you want to look at your day the night before. Hear me. You want to look at your week. I do it on Sunday nights. It's a habit. That's what I do. I know what my week's going to be. And I look at my month at the end of this month. So I already started. It happens to be July right now. I don't know when everybody's going to be watching this, but it happens to be July. I know what my week is, right? Because today is Sunday. I know what my week is. I looked at the whole thing. It's all written out. Now, I already am looking in August, and I've filled in, I planned, you know, if you have something that you know is every other week, I have a meeting that I know is every other week on a Monday. I wrote that in my calendar all the way until the end of the year, because why the hell not? Because when you open the calendar, you see it there. You know, if you know you have these different appointments, and you have one in the phone, and then you have one in another book, and you had it written on a little sheet of paper, put it all together. Make sure you get it on a calendar. See, I use one of these. You know, I use this on my desk. Then I use one of these, which is a you know, planner for every single day, every 15 minutes. And then I also, you know, do quarterly goals. Like when I'm today, right here today, in terms of my work and my life, I already know what I expect to achieve by the end of this quarter, and then the end of this year. So the end of this quarter for me is like the end of August, right? So then, no, I'm sorry, is the end of September. So then what we have is October, November, December. That's the fourth quarter. So I know what I want to see at September's end. And when I know that, then I can point myself in that direction. I can fill in, I can look at my brain dump and go, does that fit with that? No. Does that? Yes. Let me put that there. Even if I don't feel like doing it, I'm doing it anyhow. Let me tell you something. The thing about me is that I'm on social media all the time. And to me, it's business media, because I don't even like social media for myself or like anything like social. I mean, I don't do anything social on social media. To me, all social media is business media. And it's, when I call it business media, what I mean is when I go out there and I do a video, I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing the video as my mission and my drive for what I'm doing for other human beings. And that is my mission in life. So when I call it business, I don't mean business. I mean, it is not something that I do to socialize. It's something that I do to give back to this amazing, beautiful life that's been given to me, to share and to give. But do I always want to be, you know, having to maintain social media? It's a lot to do, and I have other people who help me. But the thing is, it becomes, you know, something that you have to do a lot. So I know when I'm doing that. I have it scheduled, but I don't think of it as something that I don't want to do, because I love doing it, because there's people on the other end of it. So if my perspective became, oh God, this is a burden, I don't want to do my social media. No, you know, when tasks become that, and they're your drive and they're your purpose and they're things you love, you need to shift. So for me, when I get on there, I'm like happy. Like, I'm like, oh, I love that person. Oh, I love that. And I'm interacting because it's something that has meaning to me, but I have a parameter on it. So I know that I'm doing it from 8 in the morning till 10 a.m. on this particular day. I know what I'm doing, and I know that I'm going to visit it every day, and I know I'm going to be there and be present, but I'm not going to see it as like what I was saying before, as a burden, as something that people are taking from me. Do you understand me? This is an important concept. I'm segueing into this codependency thing. We take time and we associate time with tasks, with burdens, with obligations, with anger, with frustration, with fear. What I'm asking you to do is to completely shift your perspective to looking at time as just filled with God, filled with love, filled with wow. And I'm going to turn my heart toward the goodness of this moment, whatever that is, whether you're doing the dishes, whether you're, and if you do something that you resent and you don't want to do, say, wow, I learned so much by feeling the discomfort of this decision, and I can't wait to never do that again. Let's just write down this beautiful learning experience. You see what I'm saying? Everything is a shifting and it's a changing to an abundant life, to a joyful life, to a perspective that's rich and full. So hear me, people pleasing. How much of your time is spent people pleasing? That's in your PDF. How much of your time is spent because you couldn't say no? How much of your time is spent because you are scanning the room and making sure people are approving of you? How much of your activity within time is spent in approval seeking? Consider it. When you're making a choice about what you're going to do today, in the moment, when you're writing your brain dump, when you're doing the things that you're doing, and you and I are talking about this throughout all of this time, when you're doing all of this, right? This is my question. How much of that is influenced by fear of what other people think? Because we're going to be doing that this whole next month. What will they think of me if I choose this? Consider that. I'm afraid to say no. Consider that. I need to please them in order to feel safe. Consider that. I don't want them to not like me. They have to like me. What if they think I'm crazy? Good one, right? Let me see what I have here. Doing things you don't want to do and resenting them. How much of your life is spent there? How much of your life is spent other focused? So the time is the time spent outside, thinking out in regard to others, as opposed to creating from within. So this is tied to having an external locus of control over your time instead of an internal locus of control based in your identity and creating value and creating a life that's going to be wow. Got it? So this is, I hope you're understanding this is a whole concept, all right? There's a lot of content in here, but I want you to take it and I want you to utilize it, okay? And listen to this over and over again if you have to, okay? Not have to, if you want to, right? See, isn't that interesting? Have to. How often I've shifted in my language also. Instead of like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this. I know that I'm stressed or I'm frightened or I'm threatened or whatever if I'm saying I have to do things. How about I would like to, I'm really looking forward to, or I'm going to do this first so it doesn't burden me. I'm choosing this. You understand? Now, when you look at somebody else, no matter who it is, your husband, your sister, your best friend, the neighbor, whoever pulls on your time, your kids, whatever. So I want you to consider, what does it feel like to say, hey, you know what, thank you so much for asking me to do that, but I've decided to do this. Or, this, that's not going to work for me today. I'm going to be doing this. And what I want to add a tag onto this, which I've said to you guys before, and I'm going to say it in the codependency thing. Whenever anybody asks you to do anything or they ask anything of your time, the first answer I always want you to give every single time, no matter what, don't answer them. Say, okay, can I get back to you? I'm going to think about it, or I'm going to look at my calendar, or I got to look at my week. I'll let you know. I got to look at the rest of my day. Oh, I got to look at my month. That is standard answer, no matter what. And then, why do I say that? It's to be able to look at your time and ask yourself a genuine question. Do I want to do this? Is it something that I would choose to do? Is it something that will fit on my calendar? Is it something that I'm not going to resent later? I also have a rule of thumb. I will not do something now that I'm going to resent later. If I happen to do it, I'm going to learn how not to do that again. So if my kids ask me to do something that I know I'm going to resent, I will tell them, hey, listen, I know I really hear that you really want me to do that, but I know that if I do that, I'm going to resent you. And I really don't want to resent you, so I'm not going to do it. That's my straight, direct answer. Direct answer. Hey, you know what? I just, I have a lot going on my plate, even to a friend, I so much want to be with you and do that thing. But I know that if I go and do that with you, it's going to frustrate the shit out of me and I'm just not going to have a good time and I'm going to be pulled in another direction. So I'm definitely not going. That's an honest answer. I want you to really think about, and then this ties into, which we'll go into next week, is that reevaluate your relationships, because if you can't be straightforward with people, holy crap. So within your time that you have, are you honest? I will tell people straight up, if they're like, hey, do you want to go do this thing? I'm like, absolutely not. That is probably, and I will say this to people, that is probably the last thing that I would ever want to do. Ever. No, I'm not doing that. And I have friends who would just be like, okay, see you later. And they'll do it. Who gives a rat's ass if somebody doesn't want to do something you want to do? Where did we become so offended? I will never have a friend who's easily offended, by the way. Try not to be a friend who's easily offended, and try not to, I don't want to tell you who to be friends with, but you may want to reevaluate people who are just totally offended by you when you're just being real and honest and being good to yourself. That's a really important thing to consider. I am not offended by my children when they don't do what I want them to do, unless of course maybe it has to do with normal responsibilities, but basically I'm not offended personally by them. So it's a really important thing to reevaluate too, how you're viewing time, how you're viewing other people relating to you, what they're doing for you, not doing for you, what you're doing for them, not doing for them, blah, blah, blah. I could tumble into codependency forever and go on for 3 hours, so I'm not going to. Do your PDF. I love you so much. It was a great month. If you have other questions about time, I want you to write them down, because if you have a specific thing about time that you want me to address, I will address it, because there's so many topics on there, and I'll even make a PDF for you guys. Just if you could just DM me on here or something and just let me know, I'd be happy to do it when I have the time to do it. Love you. Bye.